Welcome back to another episode of Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and in today's video we are carrying on work on the water park area of the theme park. Now of course we've been working on this now for the last few videos and we are now coming up to the end of the area. We're going to have this finished within the next two videos, absolute maximum. We'll get this area all finished off and then we're going to begin moving on then to the actual spooky or Halloween themed area of the theme park. But you can see there I'm just installing the queue line and making sort of the finishing touches now for this roller coaster. I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. You know, we've got kind of the nice scenic views now above the water park from this coaster, and I think it just kind of finishes off the area quite nicely. But yeah, I'm just building in the sort of station area building. Now, I didn't go for the Atlantis style feel for this building. I actually used kind of like a beach hut. The idea with that is kind of like this is like a little sort of beach area at the back of the water park. I think it kind of blends in quite nicely, and also it just means that we've kind of got a bit of variation, you know, in terms of the buildings. They don't all look exactly the same. I think it just kind of, you know, changes things up a little bit and just gives the the visitors to the park something different to kind of look at, you know, a different sort of piece of theming. So I was actually really happy in the end with how this turned out, and you'll see sort of as we progress through this video, what I'm going to start doing now is sort of building the dividing section between this area and the next area of the park, which of course is going to be the spooky area. I'm actually really excited to get started on that because I've got a few good ideas. I'd quite like to build something that's kind of inspired by 13 at Alton Towers. So we've got like a wooded area, a family coaster I'm thinking for that area as well. So we'll have like a family coaster as kind of like the main attraction to the spooky area, and then quite a lot of flat rides as well, because I haven't built any flat rides for quite a while, so I'm thinking of putting some more flat rides in there. But yeah, you can see I'm just kind of adding the details in there into that queue line. And what you'll actually see as well is I do actually build another coaster in this area. Now I didn't think that I was going to do that, but I thought, you know, I think a family coaster will go nicely at the back of this area. So you'll see towards the end of the video, I actually do start working on a family roller coaster just to kind of finish off the area. Add that, because, you know, there's a little bit of space there at the back, and I was like, I might as well just make use of that and put another ride there, because the problem now with this area is we really are constrained. There isn't that much space left because obviously the water park itself has taken up quite a lot of room, and there's nothing really that you could do to avoid that because it's a water park. It just does take up a lot of room to build. So, you know, we are kind of constrained now in terms of space in this area, and you could see there that I was just kind of looking around trying to work out where the actual path was going to go. But this path that I'm building now is actually going to be what's going to link up to the spooky area. So obviously in that corner in the far left, that's where the actual spooky area of the theme park's going to be, or the Halloween area, if you want to call it that. But what I'm thinking of doing here, well, what I am doing here is just an idea that I had, and I thought that it'd actually work out really nice. So what I'm going to have is I'm going to have a castle here. And on the front side of the castle, it's going to have an Atlantis theme for obviously this side and this area of the park. But then on the other side, it's going to be a spooky castle. So you're going to go through this spooky castle, which is going to all be themed to the spooky area of the park. But then actually, on the other side of the castle that faces the water park, it's going to have an Atlantis theme. So I thought that would kind of finish off the area really nicely and also be kind of like a centerpiece for the area as well. So yeah, you'll see sort of construction progress on that throughout this video. And that's something that's going to be finished over the next few videos, that kind of like castle. But I thought, you know, it'd just create like quite a nice backdrop. And you can see this whole building that I'm building here now, this is all just purely to serve as a backdrop, but it's also going to house the final roller coaster for the area as well. So it's going to kind of double up. It's going to be both a backdrop and it's also going to be a station building for the brand new roller coaster, the family coaster that I'm going to install towards the end of the video as well. So it's kind of got two uses, and you can see there we've got a little bit of space there between the Atlantis building and the Egyptian area. So maybe that'll be some sort of backstage area. Might put some like tarmac down there and just put a bit of fencing in, but there's not really going to be anything else in that sort of middle section. But yeah, I thought this would just be a really nice way to kind of finish off the area, make use of the space, and also give it kind of like a nice boundary between this area and the next area. But yeah, this Atlantis kind of theming, it really is a bit of a pain. I mean, all of the other kind of buildings that I've built in the park have been completely hassle-free. But I don't know what it is about this, you know, the Atlantis theming in Roller Coaster Tycoon, but it really is a bit of a nightmare, because you've got to get all these kind of like corner pieces in, and you can't. I wish you could just put the columns kind of like where you wanted them. Now I know, you know, that's kind of like just the, you know, the price that you pay with Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. You know, if you were playing Planet Coaster, you probably wouldn't have that issue. You've got a lot more freedom with where you can build things. But yeah, the Atlantis style theme in it is a bit of a pain, to be honest, and I am glad that the next area isn't going to use any of these kind of like walls or anything, because they just are a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, you can see what I'm trying to do with this new ride is kind of just hide most of it within the actual wall. So the idea behind this is most of this ride is completely hidden, so you wouldn't really know that it was there necessarily unless you were really looking for it, and that's kind of what I wanted. I didn't want it to be really obvious, because obviously we've already got one roller coaster in this area, and I don't want to have too many roller coasters on show. So that's kind of like the main reason that I decided to go in there and kind of just try and weave it into the building the best that I could, so you could only really see little bits of it that were kind of exposed. As you can see from what's going on the screen, it was quite difficult to do, so in the end I kind of made the ride go into this kind of back area that you won't really be able to see from the main path of the water park area. But yeah, there is a few speed issues as well, so I did have to add a second lift hill there just to sort of, you know, allow it to go a little bit further. I didn't want to make the ride really short, because obviously the trains on there are quite short as well. If you'll notice, there's only sort of 3 cars per train. So I thought I'll put a block section in and also a secondary lift hill as well. And that just means then that if you wanted to, you could put more than one train on the ride and just increase the capacity. And I am quite excited to see actually what the rides are like once I actually open the park, because obviously there is so many different areas. I don't know how busy it's going to get immediately. It might be that I'll just kind of open the world and then leave it running maybe like a day or two and just see how busy it actually gets, because it'll probably take a while for, you know, for things to pick up. I mean, you've got to bear in mind this park has never actually been open. I've never opened it since I very first started making these videos. I've actually never opened this park to the peeps, if you want to call them, but I've never opened it to them, so I don't know how, you know, things are going to react when I do eventually open the park. So I feel like it might be a case of basically opening it and then leaving it for a few days just to let everything kind of settle, see what rides they're like, and see if we need to add trains and things like that to rides. And I'll probably end up doing a video on that as well, because we are going to be nearing the end of this series now. I'd say we're well over halfway through, and I still haven't decided what the next area will be, but I think the spooky area could potentially. And I think what we'd be doing after that is then just going in and adding bits to other areas that are in there. But yeah, I definitely think now we are over halfway through this series. But if you do have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. You know, if you've got any ideas of other areas that we could put into the world, or if you've got any ideas of rides that we could include, then please do let me know in the comments, because I'm always interested to hear what people's thoughts are, and I will always take them into consideration as well when I'm sort of building the areas within the world. But yeah, you can see I'm just adding kind of the finishing details. I don't want the, you know, when you're actually on the ride, I obviously want all of the building to look complete. You know, and that includes in the station area as well. So I'm going to make sure that I do go back and make sure that even when you walk into the station, everything's got a roof, a floor, and doors and stuff like that, obviously, if they're needed. But yeah, I was quite happy with how this turned out. I think it looks really nice. And as I say, I am glad that it is the last bit of Atlantis theming that I'm going to be putting in, because it is a nightmare to work with. But I think it was worth it. I think you'll all agree over the next few videos when I kind of finish it off, I think you will all agree that it does look really good, and it just kind of finishes off the area really nicely. So here you've got a little on-ride video there of it going round. Of course, it is sped up, so you can just sort of get an idea there of what the layout's like. It's not very long. It's just, as I say, a little family coaster just to kind of finish off the area and kind of give, you know, another kind of attraction, if you like, you know, something that can appeal to families, because obviously, you know, what we've got there at the moment is that massive hyper coaster, you know, which kids aren't likely to go on, so it just kind of gives it something else. And here you can see we've got the castle, so again, the front of that's going to be the Atlantis theme, and then the very back of it, you can see I'm just putting the spooky kind of walls on that, and then there's going to be a black wall that just goes between the two and just separates the two areas. That's why I'm putting that black wall there, just to make sure, because obviously on the other side of that there's going to be lots of like dead trees and spooky style theming, so that's why I put the black wall there, just to ensure that it's all nice and sort of segregated between the two areas. But yeah, I'm super excited to get started on the spooky area of the park. I think it could be one of the best areas actually in the theme park. yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good area. But yeah, that's kind of it really for today's video. You know, we've kind of just added, you know, that junior coaster. Obviously started working on the boundary between the spooky area and the water park area. And then in the next video, I'm hoping to just get this all finished off then. And then once I finish this, we can then move straight in and start working on that spooky area of the park. But yeah, you know, there is detail to add into this new section that I've just built. So obviously we'll need to do that in the next video. But yeah, I do hope you've all enjoyed. I hope you're all enjoying this series. It's really good now that I can focus kind of on getting this series finished off. And then, as I said previously, hopefully then get into a bit of Planet Coaster as well, which is what people have been asking for. So yeah, we'll certainly see what we can do. I'll certainly see how quickly I can get through this. And yeah, apart from that, I do hope that you've enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy, please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Again, if you've got any suggestions, let me know. And apart from that, I will see you in the next video.